He only wanted to make his little girl smile on her birthday. But when a stranger agreed to pretend to be his wife for just 1 week, none of them expected it would change their lives forever. Stay till the end, because what began as an act of kindness turned into a story of love, healing, and second chances. The evening sky had turned a pale gray, the kind of color that seemed to echo the emptiness Ryan felt inside. The wipers brushed across his car windshield rhythmically, clearing away the drizzle that had begun to fall. In his hands sat a small pink box wrapped with a silver ribbon. Inside, a simple bracelet engraved with the words, "To my princess, love Dad." He'd ordered it weeks ago, hoping it might bring a little light to his daughter's birthday. But now, as he sat alone in the parking lot outside his apartment, the weight of everything pressed against his chest. Ryan Turner was 34 years old. A successful architect on paper, but behind the awards and neat suits was a man barely holding himself together. 3 years had passed since his wife Claire died in a car accident. 3 years of coming home to silence, of waking up to an empty side of the bed. But what hurt the most wasn't the loneliness. It was watching that same loneliness growing in his daughter Lily. She was 7 now, bright, sweet, and far too observant for her age. She'd started asking questions that Ryan never knew how to answer. "Daddy, why don't other moms come to my school plays?" She had asked last week, tugging at his sleeve as they stood outside her classroom. "Why don't I have a mommy like everyone else?" He had knelt down, brushed a strand of her soft brown hair aside, and forced a smile. "Because your mommy's in heaven, sweetheart. But she's still watching you, every single day." Lily had nodded, but her eyes, those deep hazel eyes that mirrored Claire's, had dimmed a little. That look haunted him. Her birthday was coming up in just 1 week. Every year he tried to make it special. Balloons, cake, presents, laughter. But it always ended the same way, with Lily crying softly in her room after everyone left, whispering that she wished her mommy could be there. Ryan couldn't take it anymore. This time, he wanted her to feel whole, even if it meant doing something he'd never imagined. That night, unable to sleep, he drove to a quiet corner of the city. He stopped at a small coffee shop, the kind that stayed open late, and sat by the window. The scent of roasted beans and cinnamon lingered in the air, mixing with the low hum of soft jazz music. He sipped his coffee without really tasting it, his mind lost in a blur of thoughts. Work deadlines, bills, loneliness, and Lily's upcoming birthday. That's when he noticed her. A woman sat at the table beside his, scrolling through pictures on her laptop. She was in her early 30s, maybe 30, wearing a simple beige coat and a cream scarf wrapped around her neck. Her hair was tied loosely, with a few strands falling gently across her face. She looked tired, yet there was something kind about her, a gentleness that caught his attention. She was showing her photos to a man sitting across from her, probably a client. "I tried to capture the natural light," she said softly. "I think it tells a story better." Her voice was calm, soothing, almost melodic. Ryan glanced at the screen. Photos of families, children laughing, a couple holding hands in the park. She was a photographer, clearly passionate about her work. When her client left, she stayed behind, sipping the last of her coffee while typing something on her laptop. Ryan hesitated, glancing at the bracelet box on the table in front of him. His heart beat faster, his palms sweating. What he was about to do felt crazy, but desperation often makes people do crazy things. He stood up, walked over, and cleared his throat softly. "Excuse me," he said, his voice low and hesitant. She looked up, startled but polite. "Yes?" He forced a small smile. "This might sound strange, but I need your help." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "My help?" He nodded, struggling to find the right words. "I saw your photos. You're really good at capturing emotions, families, love, happiness. And I need that. Well, not the photography part exactly, but something else." She tilted her head, clearly intrigued. "I'm listening." Ryan took a deep breath. "Can you pretend to be my wife?" There was a pause, the kind that seemed to stretch forever. Her expression froze in shock. "I'm sorry. What did you just say?" He ran a hand through his hair, embarrassed. "I know it sounds insane. I shouldn't even be asking. But please, just hear me out. The woman looked unsure but didn't walk away. Okay, she said cautiously. I'm listening. My daughter's birthday is next week, Ryan began, his voice trembling slightly. She's been having a hard time since her mom passed away. Every year, she asks why she doesn't have a mom like other kids. I can't keep watching her feel left out. She's just a child. She deserves one happy memory. Just one day where she feels like she has a family again. The woman's eyes softened. And you want me to pretend to be her mother? Just for the birthday, he nodded. Just for a week, maybe. I'd pay you, of course. I know this isn't something anyone would do for free. She shook her head immediately. It's not about money, she said. It's about what you're asking. She looked down at her hands, then back up at him. Why me? You don't even know me. I don't, he admitted. But when I saw you, the way you looked at those pictures, the way you smiled, it reminded me of her, my wife. I don't know why, but it did. Silence filled the space between them. Outside, the drizzle had stopped, and the faint glow of streetlights reflected on the wet pavement. Finally, the woman sighed. What's your name? Ryan Turner. I'm Emma, she said quietly. Emma Collins. She looked at him for a long moment, studying his tired face, the pain behind his eyes. He wasn't some reckless man trying to deceive someone. He was a father, broken and desperate to see his daughter smile again. After what felt like an eternity, she spoke softly. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I think I understand. I know what it's like to lose something you can't replace. Ryan looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. So you'll do it? Emma took a deep breath. Tell me what you need me to do. Ryan exhaled shakily, relief washing over him. Thank you, he whispered. You have no idea how much this means to me, Emma nodded, still uncertain, but touched by the sincerity in his voice. Just promise me one thing, she said. That this will really help her, not confuse her more. He met her gaze. I promise. I just want her to have a happy memory, not another heartbreak. They sat there for a while longer, discussing details. How she'd come over the next morning to meet Lily, how they'd introduce her as Dad's old friend, and how they'd planned the week around the little girl's birthday. When they finally parted ways, Ryan stood outside the cafe for a moment, breathing in the cool night air. For the first time in months, he felt something stirring inside him, hope. Emma walked away in the opposite direction, her heart conflicted. She didn't know why she'd agreed. Maybe it was the sadness in his eyes, or maybe it was because deep down she too knew what loneliness felt like. She too had spent birthdays wishing someone would show up for her. That night, as Ryan tucked Lily into bed, she asked, Daddy, will Mommy come to my birthday this year? He paused, his throat tightening. No, sweetheart, but maybe someone special will. Someone special. Lily whispered sleepily. Ryan smiled faintly. You'll see. As he turned off the light, he glanced at the little pink bracelet resting on her bedside table and whispered to himself, just 1 week. 1 week to give her a reason to smile again. And somewhere across town, Emma lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering what she had just agreed to, unaware that the decision she made that night would change all three of their lives forever. The morning light filtered softly through the living room curtains when Ryan heard the sound of his doorbell. He froze for a moment, his heart racing. He wasn't sure if he was ready for this, or if what he'd planned was even the right thing to do. Taking a deep breath, he opened the door. Emma stood there. She looked slightly nervous, dressed in a simple cream sweater tucked into light blue jeans and a beige coat draped over her shoulders. Her brown hair was tied back neatly, and she held a small box of cookies in her hand. There was no makeup, no pretense, just a quiet, natural warmth about her that immediately softened the cold tension in the air. Morning, she said, smiling faintly. Morning, Ryan replied, stepping aside. Come in, please. The house was tidy but carried a sense of emptiness, the kind that clings to spaces where laughter used to live. Emma noticed the framed photos on the mantel, Ryan with Lily, smiling on a carousel, Lily in her school uniform, and one photo, slightly faded, of Ryan and his late wife Claire. She didn't stare too long, but she saw enough to feel the weight of the memories lingering there. "Everything looks nice," she said softly, trying to ease the quiet. "Thanks," Ryan replied. "Lily's in her room. She's shy around new people, so maybe take it slow." Emma nodded, gripping the cookie box a little tighter. "Got it." When Ryan called her name, Lily peeked out from behind the doorframe. Her soft brown curls bounced as she looked curiously at the stranger in the living room. "Hey, sweetheart," Ryan said gently. "This is Emma. Remember I told you about her?" Lily hesitated, eyes darting between her dad and Emma. Emma crouched to Lily's level and smiled warmly. "Hi, Lily. I brought you some cookies. I baked them myself." Lily blinked, then glanced at Ryan for approval. He nodded encouragingly. Slowly, Lily walked over and accepted the box. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You're very welcome," Emma replied. "Do you like chocolate chips?" Lily's eyes brightened just a little. "They're my favorite." Ryan watched as Emma and Lily began to talk, cautiously at first, but then with growing ease. Within minutes, Emma had her laughing softly at a silly story about how she once burned a batch of cookies and had to order replacements to hide it from her friends. It was strange. Ryan thought how natural she was with Lily. It wasn't forced. She didn't try to overdo it. She just had this gentle energy that drew the child out of her shell. By afternoon, the three of them were sitting around the dining table, making plans for the week. "So," Emma said, glancing at Lily, "I hear there's a big birthday coming up." Lily grinned shyly. "Daddy said we might go to the park," Ryan smiled. "That's right. And maybe you can help us pick out decorations." "Can we get balloons?" Lily asked eagerly. "Of course," Emma replied. "Lots of them." As they talked, Ryan noticed something he hadn't seen in months, his daughter's laughter filling the room like sunlight. He caught Emma's eyes for a moment, and she smiled back at him. For that small second, everything felt right. Over the next few days, their little arrangement began to take shape. Emma spent her mornings working on photography assignments, but returned to Ryan's house by afternoon to help prepare for the birthday. She and Lily baked cupcakes, made paper decorations, and even created a handmade banner that read, "Happy Birthday, Princess." Ryan watched from a distance most of the time, silently amazed by how seamlessly Emma fit into their lives. She didn't just pretend, she genuinely cared. When Lily talked, Emma listened with full attention, asking questions and laughing at her stories. When Lily fell and scraped her knee, Emma was the first to rush over, her voice soft but firm. "It's okay, sweetheart. You're brave. Let's clean it up." Every night after Lily went to bed, Ryan and Emma would sit on the porch, sipping tea and talking quietly. At first, their conversations were simple, about work, childhood, hobbies. But soon, they began to open up about deeper things. Ryan told her how hard it had been raising Lily alone, how every decision felt like a balancing act between being strong and being human, how he'd lost not just his wife, but a piece of himself the night Claire died. Emma listened intently, her expression full of understanding. When he finished, she said softly, "You know, it takes strength to love after loss. Most people build walls instead, but you're still trying. That means something." Ryan looked at her, touched. "And you? Why did you say yes to helping a stranger?" Emma hesitated, staring down at her cup. "Because I know what it's like to be lonely," she admitted. "I lost my fiancé 2 years ago. It wasn't death, he just left. Said he couldn't handle my career, the long hours, the travel. I thought I was doing fine until I realized how empty it felt to come home to silence every night." Ryan nodded quietly. "So you fill the silence with work," she smiled faintly. "Pretty much. But meeting you and Lily, it's been different. It's strange, but it feels like I'm part of something real again." They fell silent for a moment, the evening breeze carrying the soft hum of crickets. The next few days flowed like scenes from a movie. They went grocery shopping together, cooked dinner as a team, and took Lily to the park. Ryan watched as Emma chased Lily through the playground, her laughter echoing through the air. For a brief, fleeting moment, it looked like they were a real family, something whole and beautiful. But even as he smiled, Ryan couldn't shake the guilt forming inside him. This was supposed to be temporary. a kind lie meant to protect his daughter. Yet the longer it went on, the more it started to feel real. One evening, as they sat on the couch watching a movie, Lily dozed off halfway through. Emma gently lifted her head and placed it on her lap. Ryan turned to her, his voice soft. "She hasn't slept this peacefully in months." Emma looked down at the child and whispered, "She's a beautiful soul." "You've done a good job, Ryan. She's kind, gentle, and full of love." He smiled weakly. "She gets that from her mother." Emma hesitated before saying, "And from you, too." Their eyes met again, a quiet connection that neither had expected. Ryan wanted to look away, to remind himself this was all pretend. But something about the way Emma looked back at him, steady, kind, unguarded, made it impossible. For the next few moments, they sat in silence, the only sound being the movie playing softly in the background. It was simple, peaceful, dangerous, because it felt like something that wasn't supposed to happen, and yet somehow it was. The next morning, Lily woke up early and ran into Ryan's room, her voice filled with excitement. "Daddy, can we go get Mommy a flower?" Ryan froze, caught off guard. "Sweetheart," he began. "She means me," Emma said gently from behind, standing at the doorway. She was smiling, but Ryan saw the flicker of sadness behind it. Lily nodded, holding Emma's hand. "I want to get you a flower because you make Daddy smile." Ryan's heart ached at those words. It was working. Lily was happy. But at what cost? What would happen when this week ended and Emma had to walk away? That thought lingered in his mind all day as they went out. Lily held Emma's hand while skipping along the sidewalk, and Ryan walked behind them, torn between joy and guilt. When they returned home that evening, Lily ran to her room, humming happily. Ryan and Emma stood by the doorway, the golden evening light fading around them. "She's smiling again," Emma said softly. "That's all that matters, right?" Ryan looked at her, his voice low. "Yeah, that's all that matters." But even as he said it, his heart whispered something else, something he wasn't ready to admit. That maybe, for the first time since Claire's death, he didn't feel alone. And that scared him more than anything. As the night deepened and silence filled the house again, Ryan found himself standing by Lily's door, watching her sleep. He heard Emma moving around in the guest room, humming quietly as she unpacked her camera gear. In that moment he realized that the line between pretending and feeling had already started to blur. And once that line vanished completely, there would be no turning back. By the 5th day, everything inside Ryan's home felt strangely different. The walls that once echoed with silence now carried laughter. The kitchen smelled like freshly baked cookies instead of leftover coffee. Even the piano in the corner, untouched for years, had become a centerpiece of their evenings. Emma would sit beside Lily, showing her how to play simple tunes, while Ryan watched quietly from the couch. It was supposed to be a simple arrangement. 1 week of pretending. But the longer Emma stayed, the more natural everything felt. She knew where the cups were kept, how Lily liked her sandwiches cut into triangles, and even the small ritual Ryan had before bedtime, turning off every light except the one in Lily's room. There was no awkwardness anymore. The act had turned into a rhythm, almost like a life they had always known. But beneath the laughter, something heavier began to build, an unspoken awareness neither could ignore. Emma had started to care too much, and Ryan had begun to forget where the lie ended. That morning, while Lily was at school, Ryan found Emma sitting by the window with her camera. Sunlight fell across her face as she adjusted the settings, capturing photos of the rain-speckled glass. She looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. "You really love photography, huh?" he asked, leaning against the doorway. Emma smiled without looking up. "It's what keeps me sane. When I look through the lens, I can control what I see. The framing, the light, the moment. Life doesn't always give you that control," Ryan nodded. "No, it doesn't." He walked closer, his voice soft. "Thank you for doing all this, for her. You've given Lily more than you realize." Emma turned toward him, lowering her camera. "You don't have to thank me. I'm the one who should thank you. Being here, it's reminded me of something I thought I'd lost." "What's that?" She smiled faintly. The feeling of belonging somewhere. For a moment they just looked at each other, the air thick with something neither dared to name. But before either could speak, the sound of the door opening broke the silence. Lily's laughter echoed through the hall. "Daddy, Mommy! I'm home!" The word Mommy slipped out so naturally that Emma froze. Ryan's breath caught. He turned to Emma, unsure of what to say, but the little girl was already hugging her tightly. "Mommy, look what I made," Lily said proudly, showing her a drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands, a man, a woman, and a little girl standing in between. At the top, in messy crayon letters, she had written, "Our family." Emma felt her throat tighten. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," she whispered, hugging Lily back. Ryan's eyes stung as he looked at the drawing. The lie was no longer just between 2 adults trying to protect a child. It had become a dream that Lily now believed. And that realization terrified him. That evening, Ryan and Emma sat outside again while Lily slept. The air was cool, the faint hum of the city in the distance. Neither spoke for a while. Finally, Emma broke the silence. "She called me Mommy today," Ryan nodded slowly. "I know." Emma took a deep breath. "Ryan, we need to talk about this. She's starting to believe this is real. I don't want to hurt her." His voice was quiet, almost pleading. "You're not hurting her. You're giving her something she's needed for a long time." "But it's not real," Emma said, her voice breaking slightly. "And when I leave, she's going to feel that loss all over again. Maybe worse." Ryan looked down at his hands. "I know. I've been thinking about that too. But I don't know what else to do." "She's smiling again, Emma. For the first time in years, she's sleeping through the night. She's drawing pictures. She's laughing." He paused, his voice shaking. "I can't take that away from her." Emma wanted to argue, but when she looked at him, really looked, she saw the pain behind his words. The exhaustion, the desperation of a father who would do anything to protect his child's fragile heart. So instead she whispered, "Then maybe we make sure this week ends with something good. Something she'll remember with love, not sadness." Ryan met her eyes and nodded. "Yeah, that's what we'll do." The next few days went by in a blur of quiet moments and unspoken emotions. They went shopping for Lily's birthday decorations together. In the aisles of the store, Emma teased Ryan about his terrible taste in color coordination, while he laughed and pretended to defend his choices. Lily sat in the cart between them, giggling, as if she were the happiest little girl in the world. At night, Emma would edit photos at the kitchen table while Ryan cleaned up. Sometimes they talked, sometimes they didn't need to. There was a comfort in the silence between them, the kind that only comes when 2 people start to feel something deeper than they should. But everything changed on the 5th evening. Ryan was in the kitchen preparing dinner when the doorbell rang. He wiped his hands and went to answer it, expecting a neighbor. Instead, standing on the doorstep was an older woman, stern-faced with sharp eyes that carried authority and disapproval. "Mrs. Green," Ryan said, surprised. "What are you doing here?" His late wife's mother crossed her arms. "I was in the neighborhood. Thought I'd drop off some of Lily's things." Her tone made it clear she didn't believe in coincidences. Before Ryan could respond, Emma appeared behind him, wiping her hands on a towel. "Oh, hello," she said politely, offering a small smile. Mrs. Green's eyes narrowed instantly. "And you are?" Emma froze for a split second. "I'm a friend," she managed to say. Mrs. Green looked her up and down, her voice icy. "A friend? Living here?" Ryan tried to step in. "It's not what you think. She's just helping out this week. Lily's birthday is coming," and Mrs. Green cut him off sharply. "So you brought another woman into the house? So soon? What kind of example is that for Lily?" Emma's cheeks burned. "I'm sorry if this looks wrong, ma'am. I didn't mean, Mrs. Green snapped. "Do you even know what that child has been through? She lost her mother, and now you're confusing her with this charade." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Enough, please. Emma's done nothing wrong. She's been kind to Lily. She's helped her smile again." Mrs. Green's eyes flashed. "A smile built on lies won't last, Ryan, and you know it." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving silence in her wake. Emma stood still for a long moment, then quietly said, "She's right, you know." Ryan turned to her. "Don't say that." You've done nothing but good. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes. But this isn't good, Ryan. Not if it's built on pretending. She shook her head. I can't keep doing this. Not when I know it's going to break her heart later, he wanted to argue. To tell her that he needed her. That Lily needed her. But the words caught in his throat. That night, neither of them slept. Ryan sat in the living room long after midnight, staring at the drawing Lily had made, the one of their family. Emma stayed awake in the guest room, silently crying into her pillow, torn between compassion and guilt. The next morning, Lily woke up excited for her birthday party, oblivious to the storm brewing between the adults. She hugged Emma tightly and whispered, "This is my best birthday ever." Emma's heart cracked a little more. She looked at Ryan from across the room, and he gave her a small, helpless nod. They both knew what had to come next. The pretending had to end soon, before it hurt more than it healed. But neither realized that the truth, when it came, wouldn't just change their plans. It would change everything. Because what had started as an act was no longer pretend, at least not for the two hearts that had already started to believe it was real. The morning of Lily's birthday dawned quietly. The house smelled like vanilla frosting and warm pancakes, and soft music played in the background. Colorful ribbons hung from the ceiling, and the living room looked like something out of a storybook, filled with balloons, little presents, and photos Emma had taken of Lily throughout the week, printed and pinned to a small board that said, "My Happy Memories." Lily came running down the hallway in her tiny blue dress, her hair tied into two small braids. "Daddy! Mommy, look! I'm ready!" she said, twirling with a giggle. Emma froze for a second at that word again. Mommy. Every time it left Lily's lips, it cut a little deeper. She smiled anyway, kneeling down to fix Lily's collar. "You look perfect, sweetheart," she said softly. Ryan stood by the kitchen counter, watching them with a strange mix of joy and sorrow. He couldn't deny how complete they looked together, like a family that had always been meant to be. But he also knew it wasn't real, and pretending even for love came with a price. The party began in the afternoon. Just a few neighbors and children from Lily's school had been invited. Laughter filled the house, the sound bouncing off every wall. Emma moved gracefully among the guests, helping with snacks, serving drinks, and making sure every child had a slice of cake. Ryan watched her, realizing how naturally she fit into every moment, how effortlessly she brought warmth into their world. But as the hours passed, he noticed something else, a distance in her eyes. Whenever their gazes met, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes anymore. She was slipping away, emotionally preparing to leave. When the last guest had gone home and Lily was tucked into bed surrounded by her new toys, Emma walked outside into the backyard. The evening was calm, the faint sound of crickets blending with the distant hum of cars. The sky was turning orange with dusk. She sat on the porch steps, her hands folded together, lost in thought. Ryan joined her quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to her. "You okay?" he asked gently. She nodded, though her eyes stayed on the horizon. "She had a good day. That's all that matters." He sat beside her. "You made that happen, Emma. I couldn't have done any of this without you." She gave a small, bittersweet smile. "That's the thing, Ryan. You could have. You're a great father. Lily's lucky to have you." Ryan looked down at his coffee, his voice quiet. "Maybe, but she needed a mother's touch. Someone who could make her laugh again. And you did that. You brought light back into this house." Emma's throat tightened. "But it's not my light to leave behind. I can't stay. This isn't real." Ryan turned to her. "It feels real to me." Those words hung in the air like fragile glass, dangerous to touch, impossible to ignore. Emma shook her head slowly, tears beginning to form. "Please don't say that." "Why not?" he asked softly. "Because you feel it too." Her eyes darted toward him, filled with conflict. "Ryan, you lost your wife. You're grieving, and I just walked into your life when you needed someone to fill the space she left. But I'm not her. I know you're not her," he said firmly. "I don't want you to be her. He stopped, struggling to find the right words. "I just don't want this to end." Emma wiped her tears quickly, standing up. "It has to. You said 1 week. That was the deal. He stood too, his voice cracking. And what if I don't want the deal to end? She turned away. Then you're asking me to keep living a lie. And I can't do that to her, or to myself. For a long moment, silence filled the air. The soft wind brushed against the garden lights, and the faint scent of cake still lingered from inside. Finally, Ryan said quietly, "Tomorrow morning. I'll tell her about everything. She deserves the truth." Emma nodded slowly, her shoulders trembling. "It's the right thing to do." That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, staring out at the moonlit garden, replaying every laugh, every glance, every memory of the past week. She had come into their lives as a stranger, pretending to be someone she wasn't. And now she couldn't imagine what her life would look like when she walked away. Ryan was in the next room, equally sleepless. He thought about his late wife, about Lily's small voice calling Emma Mommy, and about how right it had all felt, even if it started as a lie. For the first time in years, he'd allowed himself to feel hope again, and now he was about to lose it. The next morning, Lily ran into the kitchen, still glowing from her birthday. "Mommy, can we have pancakes again?" she asked cheerfully. Emma's heart ached. She looked at Ryan, who gave a small, pained nod. It was time. Emma knelt down to Lily's level, her voice gentle. "Sweetheart, there's something important we need to tell you." Lily blinked, confused. "What's wrong?" Ryan took a deep breath, crouching beside them. "You know how Emma has been staying with us this week?" Lily nodded. "Because she's my mommy now," she said proudly. Emma's chest tightened. "No, sweetheart," she said softly, tears filling her eyes. "I'm not your mommy. I was just pretending to help Daddy make your birthday special." Lily frowned. "Pretending?" Ryan reached out, holding her small hand. "We didn't mean to lie, honey. We just wanted you to be happy. Emma's a very kind person, and she helped us make your birthday wonderful." Lily's lips trembled, confusion giving way to hurt. "So, you're leaving?" Emma nodded slowly. "I have to, sweetie. But I'll never forget you." Tears welled in Lily's eyes. "But I love you," she whispered. Emma's voice broke. "I love you too." She hugged Lily tightly, holding her as the little girl sobbed quietly against her shoulder. Ryan stood behind them, fighting his own tears. He knew Emma was right. The truth had to be told. But watching Lily's heart break felt unbearable. After a while, Lily fell asleep on the couch, her face still damp with tears. Emma gently placed a blanket over her and turned to Ryan. "She'll be okay," she said softly, though she didn't sound convinced. Ryan nodded, his voice thick. "And you?" "I'll be okay too," she said, forcing a small smile. "Thank you for trusting me with her. It meant more than you know." Ryan stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. "Emma, before you go, I need to say something." She looked up, silent. He took a deep breath. "You think I asked you to pretend for Lily, but somewhere along the way, I think it was me who needed it more. I'd forgotten what it felt like to have someone care." To laugh again. "You reminded me." Emma's tears fell freely now. "Then don't forget it, Ryan. Promise me you'll keep living like that, for her and for yourself." He nodded slowly. "I promise." Emma reached up, brushing away one of his tears before stepping back. "Goodbye, Ryan." "Goodbye, Emma." She walked toward the door, her steps heavy but steady. The moment the door closed behind her, the house felt empty again. The laughter, the warmth, the comfort, all gone in an instant. Ryan stood there for a long time, staring at the door. Then he looked toward the couch, where Lily was sleeping, clutching the crayon drawing of the three of them. He picked it up, staring at the word, "Our Family," written across the top. He whispered softly, "Maybe one day." Outside, Emma stood by the gate, wiping her tears, her suitcase beside her. She looked back at the house one last time. The windows glowed softly in the morning light. She smiled sadly and whispered, "Thank you for letting me belong," even if it was just for a little while. Then she walked away, leaving behind a house that would never forget her, and two hearts that had learned what love could mean, even when it wasn't supposed to be real. 3 months had passed since Emma walked out of Ryan's house. But her absence still lingered in every quiet corner. The mornings felt colder, the coffee less comforting, and the laughter that had once filled the walls was now only a memory. Ryan went back to his old routines. Early work hours, silent dinners, and long nights staring at the same spot on the couch where Emma used to sit editing her photos. Lily, though young, felt the emptiness too. She had stopped asking when Mommy Emma was coming back, but every so often she'd draw pictures of the three of them again, carefully taping them to her bedroom wall. Ryan didn't have the heart to take them down. Instead, he would sit beside her and listen as she told stories of the funny lady with the camera, pretending it didn't hurt to remember. One evening, while cleaning out his desk, Ryan found something he hadn't seen before, a small envelope tucked beneath a stack of papers. It had his name written in soft handwriting. He froze, recognizing the familiar cursive instantly. It was Emma's. With shaking hands, he opened it. Inside was a letter. Ryan, if you're reading this, it means I didn't have the courage to say everything I wanted to before I left. I know I was supposed to walk away quietly, but there's something I need you to know. You and Lily gave me something I hadn't felt in years, a home. For a little while I forgot what loneliness felt like. You made me believe in goodness again, in the kind of love that doesn't have to be romantic to be real. Please tell Lily that she made me the happiest I've ever been. And tell her I'll always be cheering for her wherever I am. Take care of each other. You're both stronger than you think. Emery unfolded the letter gently, his eyes glistening. For the first time since she'd left, he allowed himself to cry. Not the silent, controlled kind, but the raw, unfiltered kind that came from deep within. He realized then that Emma hadn't just entered their lives for a week. She had become a part of their story forever. That night, he sat beside Lily's bed and read her favorite bedtime story. Halfway through, she looked up at him with sleepy eyes. "Daddy, do you think Miss Emma misses us?" Ryan smiled faintly. "I think about her every day, sweetheart. And I think she probably misses us too." Lily nodded thoughtfully. "Can we send her a picture, so she knows we're okay?" Ryan hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "That's a wonderful idea." The next morning, he helped Lily take a photo of the two of them holding one of her drawings, the one with all three of them under a rainbow. He printed it, slipped it into an envelope, and sent it to the photography studio Emma had once mentioned she worked with in the city. Weeks passed without a response, but Ryan didn't expect one. He wasn't even sure the letter would reach her, but deep down, sending that picture made him feel lighter, as if he had said something important without words. Then one Saturday morning, as he and Lily were at the local park, Lily suddenly pointed toward the fountain. "Daddy, look!" Ryan turned and froze. Emma stood there. She looked exactly as he remembered, hair tied loosely, her favorite light gray coat draped over her shoulders, camera hanging from her neck. She was taking photos of a couple nearby, laughing softly as she adjusted her lens. And when she turned and saw them, her laughter caught in her throat. For a moment, no one moved. Then Lily squealed, "Miss Emma!" and ran across the grass. Emma dropped her camera bag and knelt down just in time to catch the little girl in her arms. "Lily," she said, laughing and crying at once. "Look at you! You've grown taller." Ryan walked over slowly, his heart pounding. "Emma," he said softly. She stood up, brushing away her tears. "Hi, Ryan." He smiled faintly. "You got our letter?" She nodded, her voice trembling. "I did. I wasn't sure if I should come, but when I saw your address on the envelope, She stopped, looking at Lily, who was beaming up at both of them. "I had to." Lily tugged on Emma's hand. "Daddy says you're a very good photographer. Are you taking pictures here?" Emma nodded with a smile. "I am. For a magazine article about families spending time together." Lily grinned brightly. "Then you should take pictures of us. We're a family too." The words hung between them, innocent yet powerful. Ryan and Emma exchanged a glance, both smiling through tears. A few hours later, they sat together on a park bench, watching Lily chase bubbles in the sunlight. Emma spoke first. "I wasn't planning to stay long. Just wanted to make sure you both were okay." Ryan looked at her quietly. "We're okay. But it hasn't been the same." Emma's voice softened. I didn't mean to disappear like that. I thought leaving was the kindest thing I could do. I didn't want to confuse Lily or you. Ryan nodded slowly. Maybe you were right to leave, but it didn't stop us from missing you. She looked down, twisting her fingers nervously. You and Lily deserve stability, Ryan. You deserve someone who won't walk away. He leaned forward, his tone gentle but firm. You did walk away. But you also came back. Emma looked up, eyes wide. I don't even know why I came back, she whispered. Maybe I just missed the feeling of belonging. Ryan's voice was steady. Maybe belonging isn't something you find. Maybe it's something you build together. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Lily ran over, out of breath, holding a small wildflower. Here, Miss Emma. This is for you. Emma took it gently, tears filling her eyes again. Thank you, sweetheart. It's beautiful, Lily smiled proudly. Now you have to come home so we can put it in a vase. Emma laughed softly, glancing at Ryan. She's still good at convincing people to do impossible things. Ryan smiled. That's my girl. The three of them walked back to the car together, their steps slow, uncertain, but filled with quiet hope. That evening, back at the house, Emma stood in the doorway looking around. Everything looked just as she'd left it. The photo board still hung on the wall, now filled with even more pictures, most of them taken during the week she'd stayed there. I see you kept them, she said quietly. Ryan nodded. Lily wouldn't let me take them down. Emma smiled sadly. She has good taste. Lily ran up to her, dragging her to the living room. We saved your favorite mug too. The blue one with the little chip, Emma laughed. You did? Ryan watched her, the sound of her laughter filling the house again, and something inside him finally clicked. The realization that sometimes life doesn't go back to the way it was. It moves forward toward something new. After dinner, when Lily fell asleep, Ryan and Emma sat on the porch again, just like they used to. The night air was calm, the stars faint but visible. Emma turned to him. Ryan, what are we doing? He smiled softly. I don't know. Maybe we stop pretending. Maybe we start being real, she hesitated. And what if real doesn't work? He looked at her, his voice steady. Then at least we tried. But I think it will. For a long moment they just sat in silence, the weight of everything between them slowly lifting. Then Emma reached over and took his hand. It felt natural, like it had always been meant to fit there. Weeks turned into months again. Emma didn't leave this time. She started taking photography projects closer to home, spending evenings with Ryan and Lily. The three of them built a new rhythm, one not based on pretending, but on choice. One afternoon, Lily came running into the kitchen holding her drawing book. Daddy, Miss Emma, look what I made. They turned, and there it was, another crayon drawing. 3 figures, hand in hand, standing under a rainbow. But this time the words at the top read, My family, without hesitation, without confusion. Emma smiled through tears. Ryan put his arm around her shoulders. They didn't need to say anything. The drawing said it all, because sometimes the most beautiful families aren't the ones we're born into. They're the ones we create through kindness, through love, and through the courage to stop pretending and finally live the truth. And as the sun set outside, its light soft and warm across the room, it felt like the beginning of something new, not perfect, not planned, but real. And that was enough. And that was the story of a man who only wanted to make his daughter happy, and a woman who reminded him that family isn't always about blood. It's about love, compassion, and the people who choose to stay. Sometimes pretending can reveal the most real emotions of all. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deeply emotional and inspiring stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that might just change how you see love, kindness, and humanity.